Hello everybody, Nick here. At time of recording this, this will be a one-take video, by the way, apologies for that. At time of recording this, it's May the 30th, 2021, around 10:38 a.m. 2 days ago, on 28th of May 2021, around later in the day, I certainly found out about it in the evening. We got some exciting news regarding James Bond, the literary James Bond, the book. So, as we're getting hyped for No Time to Die coming out later this year, and video games fans will be excited for Project 007, which is also set to come out later this year. Next May, we will also be expecting another entry to the James Bond media canon. This time, media franchise. This time with the book series, as Anthony Horowitz will be returning to, or has returned, I should say, to write his third James Bond continuation novel. This is especially exciting for me personally because the first two are fantastic. I reviewed those two last year on this channel, and both of them are easy 10 out of 10 stories. They're probably the two best continuation Bond novels since basically the best two continuation Bond novels. But I haven't read the John Gardner or Raymond Benson one yet, so I'll make a final decision after that. I've started collecting Raymond Benson now, as I got the 3 novelizations of the second, third, and fourth Pierce Brosnan Bond films. The first one was done by John Gardner, who also did License to Kill. So I've got all 7 novelizations of films now. The other 2 were Spy Love Me and Moonraker. But yeah, I've got all of the John Gardner books, and I've now started getting Raymond Benson, so I'll be trying to get the other 6 Raymond Benson, the continuation novels themselves, short stories. I won't be able to get those because they're not published this side of the Atlantic. Unless they publish a collection book at some point, along with the unpublished short story, as they're 3 published and 1 unpublished, they could do that, but I'm not expecting them to do that anytime soon. If they haven't done it since 2002, they probably won't do it anytime soon. Anyway, back on point. So, in my opinion, of the continuation novels I have read, which have been Colonel Sun, the unauthorized biography, which I have also gotten a new copy of as well. So I'll be reading that next time I come to read that. I'll read the new copy, and that'll be the one in the review. I read those 2, and also the other 3 of the most recent 5 continuation novels: Devil May Care, Carte Blanche, and Solo. And whilst I haven't reread Colonel Sun or unauthorized biography at time of recording this video, I don't like Colonel Sun. I'm not looking forward to reading it again. I will read it again, but I'm not looking forward to it. Maybe my opinion on that one will change, like some of the other books, like Dr. No. I didn't like reading that one first time I read it. Now I think that's top 6 material in the Ian Fleming ranking, Bond books ranking that's coming into the Retro channel. Hopefully next month. Fingers crossed. I said it might come in April, but it's probably going to be next month. So sorry about that. If you've been watching the book reviews on the Retro channel, and I said it might come in April at the end of the Octopussy and the Living Daylights review. Might come in April, and actually it's probably going to come in June or July. But yeah, anyway, but Colonel Sun, Dr. No, I liked on the reread. I really liked on the reread, so that's possibly top 6 going to be on the ranking, maybe. So maybe Colonel Sun I might like it on the rereading, but the same for the first half of Trigger Mortis. I read the first half of Trigger Mortis, wasn't so keen on that. Then I managed to get around to the rest of it, and it was brilliant. And rereading the whole story the second time, the whole thing was amazing. So maybe I'll like Colonel Sun on a reread. And the authorized biography, that was a bit dull as well, but there were some interesting facts. And interesting that John Pearson has his own take on the early days of James Bond, just like Charlie Hickson does for the and Steve Cole for the Young Bond novels. But yeah, unauthorized biography had some good moments, but there were some dull moments as well. I did like how there were bits that focused on the Ian Fleming books and the novels and the short stories. I liked how there was stuff dedicated to those included inside that book. And then the 5 continuation novels that have been published over the last 13 years, since 2008. Devil May Care Hated that one. That was awful. I think I get like with Colonel Sun, that is probably got one of the worst ones. But unlike Colonel Sun, I'm probably not going to have a reason to go back and reread it because I reviewed it the first time I read it, and I do not want to read that one again just yet. I might maybe if I go back in order, if I'm going to reread those 5 continuation novels in order, start to finish order. If I do that, then maybe I'll reread it. But at this point in time, I don't really have much of intention to. Carte Blanche, on the other hand, was amazing. That was brilliant, and it's basically the novel equivalent to the Daniel Craig Bond films. It was setting Bond in the present day, and very much relevant to the present day situations. And it was really great, as opposed to the other continuation novels, which focus on the other continuation novels post Raymond Benson, which focus more on a Bond during the 50s or 60s. Or very late 40s in Forever and a Day's case. I still think that's 1950, but it could easily be 1949. But yeah, Carte Blanche was amazing. Solo, I liked more on the first read, but on the second read, not so much. But it was still a pretty good novel. I wouldn't say it was the best novel that they could have got out for the 60th anniversary of the novels, and I think Skyfall was a much superior 50th anniversary present for the films the year before. But I thought Solo was a pretty good story in its own right. And then we get to the Anthony Horowitz novels, which just blow everything else out of the water. Well, everything else I've read since in the release order since post Fleming. Like I said, I'll get around to John Pearson and Raymond Benson at a later point. And this is just continuation novels and novelizations and short stories, not the spin-off works. Although Young Bond is a very good series, I will say that. And it's a very good series, some really great novels in there, some not so good ones as well, but there's a couple of really great ones. Silverfin is still my favourite, which is the first one, and the latest one, Red Nemesis, is also amazing. But anyway, back on topic. So Anthony Horowitz will be writing his 3rd James Bond novel, and following the success of the first 2, this is exciting news. I'm not going to say he's the new continuation Bond author like John Pearson or Raymond Benson were at the time when they wrote novels, because their ones were coming out every year or every other year, much like the Fleming ones were. I think John Pearson wrote a Bond novel every year from 1981 to 1996, except 1986, I think. Was it 85 or 86, and also 1995, because the GoldenEye novelization came out that year, but there wasn't an original book that year. License to Kill came out in 1989 alongside one of the other novels, so there was 2 that year, but there wasn't one in 80. I think it was 85 they skipped. Was it 84 actually? No, it's 85 or 86. I think it was 85. I think they skipped 1985, and then he also skipped 1995, unless you count the GoldenEye novelization. But that one didn't come out alongside another one like Licenses did. And then Raymond Benson, he wrote a novel every year from 1997 to 2002, alongside the novelizations for each of the remaining 3 Brosnan films, plus 3 short stories, which I mentioned, haven't come out in the UK. They're only in American ones. One of them's only 9 pages anyway, as well as a 4th short story that didn't get published as well. Sorry for the little pause, jump, cut there. I'm able to pause video on my phone, so I can avoid blooper situations. Yes. One thing to wonder about this new news, because I'll talk about the news first before I get to my wonder about the Horowitz novel. So the announcement is that Anthony Horowitz is currently writing up the novel. He's got a draft down, or he's got some ideas down, and he's writing the story, which is going to come out next May. It's going to be released this time next year, give or take. So yeah, so he's got the plan. He's writing it, or it's in the planning stages at the very least. Planning going into writing, or at least drafting. So this is all really exciting news. There isn't really a huge amount of story details at the moment because it's only at this stage in its development. But the story will be set after The Man with the Golden Gun, the last of the Ian Fleming novels, and the last of the stories in a chronological order due to Octopussy and the Living Daylights, his short stories, taking place earlier on in the timeline before the events of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Chapter 6, because Chapters 1 to 5 also take place in a little bit earlier than that. Same for Spy Who Loved Me, in the Thunderball to Majesty's Chapter 6 gap, basically. And so this book will be set after The Man with the Golden Gun, which is a mirror, not a mirror, in the opposite of what Forever and a Day was, basically, where that was basically James Bond's first mission just before Forever and a Day. In contrast to Forever and a Day, which was a prequel to Casino Royale, it was Bond's first mission, and that's basically Bond's first mission, and taking place a year or two before Casino Royale. This one is, in contrast to that, is going to be following up from The Man with Golden Gun. It's a bit like Rigor Mortis following up from Goldfinger, except this time round, this one's going to be a bit more significant, because The Man with the Golden Gun wasn't originally going to be the intended finale to James Bond. Admittedly, Ian Fleming did consider finishing the series with From Russia with Love, and then again with You Only Live Twice. But then he went on to The Man with the Golden Gun, and I think if he hadn't passed away in 1964, he probably would have written a few more Bond novels following the Golden Gun. Heck, Golden Gun feels like it's a first or second draft, and that there could have been some finalizations, touch-ups, etc. So maybe that one could be, The Man with the Golden Gun could be a bit different to what we know it at in this timeline. And there might have been a few more Bond novels. We could have a few more Bond films with Fleming titles. There might be some that haven't been used yet. There might be some plots that may not have been used yet. Some of the films may have turned out very differently to what we know them to be, especially the ones after The Living Daylights, with the exception of Casino Royale. Though when that would have come around, I'm not so sure. Maybe the Wrights timeline would have stayed the same. Although whether it would have been a reboot or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, so this new story is going to take place after The Man with Golden Gun. So like Rick and Mortis, it act like as a sequel to Golden Gun. But like Casino Royale, it's going to be an important like bookend to Bond's life, as it didn't really properly finish the series with Golden Gun. It's just the series just stopped there because Fleming had passed away, and then you've also got the short stories to check out in Autopsy and The Living Daylights. So after Golden Gun, it's interesting to see what would have happened next following the events of that novel. And that was one of the ideas I thought that could be explored by Horowitz or another author at some point. That could be one of the possible angles we could explore, a sequel to The Man with the Golden Gun. What else would have been a good story? Would have been good ones, I was wondering. There's a year gap between Diamonds Are Forever and From Russia with Love. You could have a story there. And there's also that gap between Thunderball and Majesty Chapter 6. They're around the same time as Spy Who Loved Me. You could have something around that point. But yeah, those were my ideas alongside The Man with the Golden Gun sequel. And yeah, so I'm happy to hear this. In fact, I'm excited to hear this because it will be following up from the final Fleming James Bond story written and the final novel released. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I'm also wondering if he's going to take in other continuation novels besides his own into account, because 2 years later 2 years after Autopsy and The Living Daylights was Colonel Sun. So I'm wondering if continuation novels will be included as part of Anthony Horowitz's James Bond canon. Charlie Higson just focused all on Fleming and didn't really take any notes from any of the continuation novels. He just stuck with the 14 Fleming books. So I'm wondering if Horowitz is doing the same thing, or if he's going to take continuation novels into account, which is an important point for something else I will be mentioning in a moment when I get around to it. But yeah, it depends when what he wants to do with these stories. If he just wants to focus on Fleming, or if he wants to include elements that come later down the line, like say Colonel Sun, which would be the next event chronologically. Well, he might not directly mention Colonel Sun, but basically still counting it as part of the canon. I'm not sure. But yeah, but the new story will be taking place after The Man with the Golden Gun, more or less a follow-up to that book, and that's exciting to hear, especially as we'll might wrap up some things that book left open. Like, I think that book, James Bond, is still a secret agent at that point, despite the 007, also the 00 section's age thing that Moonraker established, and I think we went past that before we even got to Majesty's. Um, well, or around Majesty's Twice area. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Or maybe the books are, or maybe what would have been the case is that, like with the films and the later books, maybe the books wouldn't really focus too much on the age stuff. But yeah, exciting to hear that this will be a sequel to The Man with the Golden Gun, and that they'll be directly following this up. The other piece of news about this is that Bond it's still going to be in Jamaica, which is where the Golden Gun finished off, and Bond will be up against an old enemy. Ooh, an old enemy. I wonder who this is. At the moment, I'm thinking it could be Irma Bunt, Blofeld's number 2 in On Her Majesty's Secret Service and Year and Live Twice. And film audiences will remember her from the film adaptation of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, played by Ilsa Stappert. You'll remember her. She was the matron of the hospital. Remember? And also the one at the very end who actually shot Tracy Bond. So that's that character. That's who I think he might be coming back. That's a possibility. I mean, it might not be. It could be somebody else. But there's other characters from the previous novels that could easily return. The ones who aren't dead, at least. But Irma Bunt is a possibility. And this also brings up my point about whether Horowitz will take continuation stories into account, because Irma Bunt does return in one of the Raymond Benson short stories where she kills James Bond's son, which is alluded to at the end of the Uno Twice novel, that Kisisuke is pregnant with Bond's child, and it turns out that he had a son called James Suki, as Benson put in his short story, but he ends up being killed by Irma Bunt in revenge, and Bond eventually kills Irma Bunt. By the way, I know about this stuff thanks to the Wikipedia page. Like I said, the short stories aren't published on this side of the Atlantic in the UK. They're only published in the US. Well, the Benson short stories, 3 of them. The other one doesn't get published at all. So, yeah, if Anthony Horowitz is taking the continuation novels into account, if Irma Bunt is going to be our returning villain in this novel, then she won't be dying. But if he's not counting anything after Fleming, then I think she's probably going to die, and that will change the continuity of the novel series, because Raymond Benson wrote her into the series later on. Blofeld also has a daughter who appears in a John Gardner novel, but that's not with Irma Bunt. But I don't think that character is going to pop up in this novel. Again, especially if Horowitz is not taking the post-Octopussy novels into account. So, yeah, I do think it could be Irma Bunt, because she does survive Year and Live Twice if Raymond Benson's short story is anything to go by. And it does look like Fleming did it is worded that she could have survived. That could have been a thing. She could have come back at a later point to get her revenge on Bond, and that's what Benson does over 30 years later. So we could see that in the Horowitz novel. I'm not sure who else could be the returning villain. Maybe someone from the Spangled Mob, from Diamonds Are Forever and Goldfinger. Maybe someone who works for one of the other villains. We had some people who worked for Goldfinger pop up in Trigger Mortis, try to get their revenge on Pussy Galore for betraying Goldfinger in the early chapters of that novel, and they were some workers working for him or Smirch, and they tried to kill her, and Bond managed to get rid of them. And those were that was early on in Trigger Mortis, before the main plot began. And speaking of Trigger Mortis, and I'm wondering if this novel will also include some previously unseen Ian Fleming material. There was apparently 5 short stories unpublished that Anthony Horowitz had access to when writing Trigger Mortis, and he chose Murder on Wheels to be included into Trigger Mortis, and then Russian Roulette into Forever and a Day. So I'm wondering if that's why I'm wondering if he'll do 5 novels, so that we might get some, or if there will be 5 novels that will include these short story elements, especially if there isn't a proper short story collection released on these ones. That would be a great present for 2023, Ian Fleming Productions. If we're not getting a new Bond novel in 2023, we should have a new short story collection featuring these 5 short stories. You can still include the last 2 in other novels later down the line, but yeah, I'm wondering if one of the remaining 3 short stories will be included in the new novel and in the new Anthony Horowitz novel. That would be pretty interesting. I'm not sure what's left because I don't have access to it, obviously. But yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what comes and if one does get included, how that would tie into the novel stories. With Trigger Mortis, it worked really well into the plot. It was basically the reason Bond went to this place and saw this person who ended up being the main villain of the novel, and following that story, the reason he met that person in the first place was because he was doing this mission, which the short story Murder on Wheels is a big part of. And then Forever and a Day was told as Bond telling another character this story, a story in his set a few years ago. In the Fleming short story continuity, it probably would have taken place sometime during the Goldfinger to Thunderball gap, maybe, or the Thunderball to Majesty's gap. Possibly it would have taken some place in the middle, but in the Forever and a Day continuity, it's set even before Forever and a Day. It's said that would be the very first adventure, discounting young Bond or unauthorized biography pre-MI6 stuff. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if there was another short story in here and how that would be included into the plot of the novel, if included a previously unreleased short story, I should say. So we've been going for just over 20 minutes. I apologise if I've just been rambling for 21 or so minutes about this, but yeah, comment down below your thoughts on the new upcoming Anthony Horowitz 3rd James Bond novel. I also believe this is going to be the 49th book in the James Bond series, including the spin-offs, but it's including all of Fleming, the 14 books, including the short story collections, Colonel Sun, Unauthorized Biography, the 2 Roger Moore Bond film novelizations, all 16 John Gardner books, including the License to Kill and GoldenEye novelizations, all 9 Raymond Benson books, including the 3 Pierce Brosnan Bond film novelizations, and the 5 most recent continuation novels. So that's 14, and then another 2 is 16, and then another 2 is 18. Then we've got 16 more, which 34. And then another 9, which takes us to 45. Oh, in that case, actually, no, including all of that, that makes Forever and a Day the 50th. Okay, I suppose if you took out the novelizations and the short story collections, you knock it down to about 9. So the next one will be number 42. Number 42 instead of 51. If we're just doing novel. If we're just doing novel, it will be the 42nd, but if we're doing book, it will be the 51st, discluding Young Bond and Moneypenny Diaries. But if just doing the books, the Bond book, and also the short stories that have been unreleased, but in collection, book collections, the Benson ones, I mean. But with all 14 Fleming books, the 16 Gardner books, the 9 Benson books, and 4 books between Fleming and Gardner, and 5 books since from 2008 onwards, with the next one being the 6th, then it'll be the 51st. But if it's just the novels, it'll be 42, because we take out 2 short story collections and 5 novelizations. That would be 42nd. As mentioned, it'd be the first Anthony Horowitz novel. Maybe Anthony Horowitz will become the current continuation novel writer, and we might have to have his one separate to the 3 that came before him, and make that 2 separate groups. At the moment, it's the continuation novels 2008 onwards, but maybe we'll have to split into the continuation novels 2008 to 13, and then the Anthony Horowitz novels. MI6 HQ, who I found out this news about of the new book, have actually done that. I think they've done the continuation novels 2008 to 13, and then the Anthony Horowitz novels. And honestly, that might be the case. So maybe I'll have to restructure or redo some rankings and stuff at a later point. Maybe if I do that, do a start to finish order for all the books, maybe I'll do that afterwards. But yeah, maybe there'll be another novel by that point. Another novel by Anthony Horowitz. Woo! That'll be exciting, but that probably won't come until 2024 or 2025. Especially as this one came 4 years after the after Forever and a Day. It's coming 4 years after Forever and a Day. I thought it might be a 3-year gap, but alas, we didn't get it this year. And there was also the hope for a fourth one in 2023, but I don't think we'll be getting one in 2023. Or at least not from Horowitz anyway. Maybe somebody else. In that case, that might break the cycle if Horowitz does come back for a fourth or fifth one afterwards. But anyway, so that's it from this reaction, thoughts, news. Comment down below your thoughts on the new Anthony Horowitz novel. Are you looking forward to it? You excited for it? Who do you think is going to be coming back to face James Bond in a post-Man with the Golden Gun, pre-Colonel Sun adventure? And how it would wrap up the James Bond novel continuity in the Fleming timeline, the Fleming stories, how it would wrap up after the events of the Man with the Golden Gun. Comment down your ideas and suggestions, and look out whether you're looking forward to this new novel or not. It will be coming out sometime next May. I'm not sure exactly when. The announcement came on Ian Fleming's birthday, so I wouldn't be surprised if the release date was around the same time, May the 28th. It might come out slightly earlier. The Forever and a Day and Trigger Mortis, I think they came out in mid-May 2015 and 18. Forever and a Day definitely did come out in May 2018, because I remember I think I picked it up after my birthday. I got it from Waterstones, so not an exclusive version. If Forever and a Day had an exclusive version at Waterstones, Trigger Mortis did. Actually, I think I got Trigger Mortis from... Did I get Trigger Mortis from Waterstones as well? Well, it definitely wasn't the exclusive one, it was the standard one. But yeah, it will hopefully come out around May 2022 as planned, and I will try and pick it up for, if I don't get it for my birthday, I'll try and pick it up afterwards. So yeah, looking forward to that, and it'll be a great new Bond novel, hopefully. Also, before we finish up, I actually did a tweet about this, and also a Facebook Facebook post about this exciting news, and in my tweet, I tagged Anthony Horowitz, as you do the person. I put him in at Anthony Horowitz, as I was saying I was excited for the new Bond novel written by him, and he actually replied saying, "I hope so," because I mentioned I'm hoping it's going to be really great, brilliant, and he said, "I hope so," in a reply. So I got a reply to a tweet by Anthony Horowitz, the writer of the upcoming James Bond novel and the writer of Trigger Mortis and Forever and a Day. This is now alongside Nicholas Briggs replying to a tweet I wrote with him included, and he replied to it. This is now one of my notable persons replying to me sort of thing situation. Notable people in real life are big names in their respective industries, like writer and Nicholas Briggs is actor, and Big Finish grandmaster, shall we say, because he does a lot of stuff at Big Finish. He's a writer, director, producer, executive producer, and actor, as well as also maybe a voice director. I think that might come as the same thing for director, and also the co-host of the Big Finish podcast. So he's basically the one of the big cheese, shall we say? Which that's a compliment, by the way. So to have these great people replying to tweets I've done with them tagged in, praising one and the other one saying I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've got coming. It is amazing to have them reply. So thank you very much to Nicholas Briggs and to Anthony Horowitz. You're probably not watching this video, but it's much appreciated that you guys replied to tweets I wrote. So that's it from this video. Finally, I'll let you get on with the rest of your days. Oh blimey, it's nearly half an hour. Okay. But anyway, like I said, thank you for watching this video. Put some comments down below about what you think of the news, what do you think the story's going to be about, and who do you think Bond will be coming up next, and also whether you think any of the post Fleming continuation novels will have some sort of continuity into this. Like, if Irma Bunt is the villain of this story, for example, how would that tie in with Raymond Benson's short story? Will she die at the end of this book, meaning that story's erased from canon, or will she escape again, meaning that that short story can take place as it is? Not sure. Blofeld's capable of escaping and coming back in later stories, and we've seen that in the films. We think he died in Diamonds Are Forever. Turns out he comes back in For Your Eyes Only. So, yeah, it could be something like that, maybe. But we'll see how it goes, what Anthony Horowitz wants to do with the story, or what Ian Fleming publications want with the story. But, yeah, and also comment below whether you want to see a compilation of short stories, the 5 Ian Fleming short stories that haven't been published yet outside of the Horowitz novels, and also the 4 Raymond Benson short stories that haven't been published in the UK, including one that wasn't even published in the US, released in their own book short story book collections, if you want those as well. The Moneypenny Diary ones did get ebook publications of the 2 short stories in a very small ebook collection. Comment down below if you want those to be in a physical copy collection as well, or included with the novels, or a big book of the novels with the short stories included in with Moneypenny Diaries. But yeah, just put some comments down below, your thoughts on the situation, as well as what you would like from the Bond literary canon, and as well as other suggestions of where else, and if Anthony Horowitz wants to do another 2 Bond novels that would use those last 2 unused short stories, where in the timeline would you like them to go? Just put some comments down below, put your opinions in, put your thoughts. Don't forget to make all comments civil, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. I just tried that out for the first time. Just everybody's saying. I mean, I've done the. Don't forget to click below to subscribe stuff at the end. But I've been mentioning the comments just now, and also in other videos I've mentioned comments. But I've tried doing the like, comment, share, subscribe thing other YouTubers do. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I mean, that's all optional, of course. Everything's optional. It's your decision. I'm not going to force you to do anything. It's all open for you. Okay, so now that we've passed half an hour, I'll let you get back to your day or night or whatever you're doing. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time. Goodbye.